So without further ado, we'd like to start the session. Once again, thank you very much indeed for sparing time today to participate in this webinar by the plant. So today the session is a well-being, and we are privileged to have Representative Director of the EVOL, Ms. Maeno Madoka. So the management of the well-being. So we need to understand the well-being in the workplace. So this is sort of the concept for today's seminar. So today I'm serving as a moderator, Ikuko from the HR of the plant. And today's event, so this is how we are going to proceed. So from the 7:20, so you're going to put your question for the Maeno-san and other staff members as well. So introduction of the plant, just briefly. Zan plant was established by the Anatole Valley in Tokyo, specializing in system development and IT consulting company in 2005. So headquarters is located in Tokyo. So we have offices in Guangzhou in China and also Canberra in Australia. And our businesses centers around content management system and e-commerce system, particularly customization. And also we provide consulting services pertaining to these services. And also we'd like to invite you some, short speech by our CEO, Anatole Valley. Over to you.
Thank you all for joining us. My name is Anatole Valley, and I'm the CEO of the plant. Just for a little bit of background, I'm American in spite of my name. And I came to Japan over 20 years ago. First, I did a master's degree in Japan on scholarship from the Japanese government. Then after that, I taught at a university before founding my first company here in Japan. I then founded the plant a little bit later, and that's about 17 years ago in Tokyo. And we now have around 70 people in our offices in Tokyo, Hangzhou, and Canberra, Australia. So the plant focuses on building and maintaining mission critical systems for large companies. We pride ourselves on our speed and reliability. Our projects are often very audacious, and sometimes we're doing projects that other companies may take years to complete in just a few months. And I believe we can achieve these audacious projects because of our team and culture. So we built a very talented team of talented individuals, and that we've somehow convinced to stay with us for a long time. Many people have been with the company for 10 years or more, and I think we have very low attrition, or people that actually leave the company. And I believe that this is one of the factors that gives us a lot of strength, as the people in the company understand the company, the technology, and each other. One thing I think is really interesting about the plant is that we've had a really good history of attracting good people and then making good people great. I'm not sure exactly why or how. I sometimes think that it's some kind of magic, but when I analyze it, I can imagine a few reasons. One is that we treat all people in the company with respect and are kind to one another, but at the same time, we've created an expectation of highly talented and a high-performing team. I think one contributing factor that has made this happen is that the company was well seated. And by that, I mean the heads of each department, they've been with us for a long time, and these people are extremely talented and respectable people, both professionally as well as individuals personally. So I think that they create a very high bar and serve as role models to others in the company. We also have little hierarchy. And when there is hierarchy, we have a culture of anyone being able to talk to anyone. We very much value output, or the fruits of our work, and politics are generally seen as something that we try to avoid. And I think that very few people in the company engage in kind of, the bad meaning of politics. I think we also believe that best results are from smart people with different perspectives and skills working together to solve a problem in a positive way. And we have a company that is diverse and values diversity. And we generally, I believe, have a positive outlook on work and working together. Maybe one final point, which I think has been important, is that we treat people as adults. We don't micromanage or closely monitor them. On the other hand, we give people ambitious projects and we expect them to deliver. So yeah, I mean, those are a few of the things that I could, when I thought about, why we've managed to create our team and culture, I thought of these points. And of course, either just from my perspective, I'm really looking forward to hearing what others have to say. To make just a final word, I'm very happy we're able to host this event and hope that you can learn something from us. As I learned as a teacher, though, it's often the teacher who learns the most. So I'm also looking forward to seeing what we can learn from hosting this event. Yeah, so thank you all, and I hope you enjoy the event.
はい、ありがとうございます。それでは、
Well, thank you very much for your comment. So now I'd like to turn over to the Miss Maeno Madoka. The floor is yours. Thank you very much for introducing me. My name is Maeno Madoka. I'm very excited to be here. And after the hearing the speeches by the CEO, Mr. Baring, so I understand. So you are very happy and you're working very happily here at this company. So I'm very happy to hear that comment by the CEO. So today time is limited. So without further ado, I'd like to move on to today's session.
今から資料を、
From
共
now,
有
I'm going to share the screen.
これで見えてますでしょうか？
Can everyone see the screen?
はい、ありがとうございます。
Thank you.
対話型ウェルビーイング
Then we're
ワークショッ
going to talk
プ
about the
で、EVOL 株
interactive
式会社の
well-being
前松と申します。
Waruka, and I'm Madoka Maeno from
私の
Maruka.
紹介なんですけれども、
And
私は
talking
EVOL
about
主体
myself,
具
I
体
have
学システムデザインマネジメント研究科で、
been the
幸せ
researcher
の
at
研
the
究をしております。
Human Design Laboratory of
そして
Sydney
そ
and
の
also
研究で
graduated
分かった
UK
ことを
University.
プ
And
ログラム
today
で
I have
こ
put
のようにお
these
話
the
をさせ
things
てい
that I
ただい
found out
た
in
り、
the program,
書
and I
籍を
also
書
share
い
it with
た
the
りですね、
people, and
その
also
よう
I
なこと
write
をしながら、
books. While I'm doing this,
このウェルビーイング
I'm
どうし
talking
たら
about
人が幸
well-being
せに
and
生きる
think
ことがで
about
きるか、
how
い
can
つもいい
people
状態で
become
自分の
happy?
パフォーマンスを
How
高く
can they
することができるかという
improve their
ことを皆さん
performance?
にお伝えするという活
And
動をしております。
I do
ですから、
activities of
女
sharing
性
these
の
kind
経
of
営のコンサル
experiences.
なども
So
携わら
I
せていただい
do
ております。そのきっかけとな
management
りま
consulting
した
too.
が、
And
私
through that, what
が
I've learned is,
夫ですね。夫がですね、
well,
私
my
の夫が
husband
慶應義塾大学の教授で、
is a
幸
prof-
せのお話を
officer
して
at
お
the
りま
Keio
す。
University,
日本で
and
は
he's
一番
talking,
最初に
thinking
研
about
究をし
what
始めた
well-being
ので、
is. Now, he's the
第一
first
人者だと
pioneer,
言われておりま
and
すが、
therefore
本
he's
当にまあ
been
突破
said
口と
called
な
the
る研
first
究をさ
pioneer,
せて、
and that's
ご覧
why
に至っております。
I'm also in
幸
this
せのメカニズ
research.
ム、幸せ
Now,
の
we're thinking
メカ
about
ニズ
what the
ムを解明し
mechanism
た
is for
この
well-being,
本
and
が
this
2013
book
年、
was
今から10年
published
前
in
に出版しました。
2013, which
プ
is
ライベートなん
13
です
years
けども、
ago.
私、
Now,
義理の母、夫の
I
母
am
が、
living
義
with
理の母と
my
27
mother-in-law
歳の、
and
社会人、
my son,
4
who's
年目、
27 years
そ
old.
と
He's been in the
23 歳
society
社
for
会
5
人に
years
なっ
old.
たばかりの
And
娘と
also,
4 人
I
で
have a
暮らしており
daughter
ます。
who's
プライベ
23 years
ートで
old,
は、
and she's just a freshman
PTA
in
を
the
8年間やっており
company
ます。
too. And
夫は
also, I've
研
been
究をしながら、
associated in the
幸せに日々過ごして
PTA,
お
the
ります。
Parents Teacher Association, for 8 years,
そ
and
ん
I've
な
been living
私
with
と
my
夫
family,
で
with my
昨年で
business
すね、
happily.
ウェル
Last
ビーイン
year,
グとは、もうウェルビーイン
we
グとは
have
どういうの
been
かのタイトルで書
thinking
籍を出
about
させていただきました。
what is
ウェル
well-being,
ビーイン
and
グが
we've
わからない
put
方は、
this
とここで書い
into
てあ
a
ります
book.
ので、すべて中身
Now,
わかりますので、ぜひ
if
そ
you
ちら
don't
を
know
読んでい
about
ただけたら
well-being,
と思い
please
ます
read this
が、
book. I think you would get
ウ
an
ェルビー
idea
イ
of
ング、
it.
いい状態
Now,
になると
well-being,
いうことですけれど
becoming
も、
in
こ
a
ちら
good
がビ
condition,
ジネス組織、社
this
会、そして
is
人
for
生
the
を根
business
底から変えられ
society,
る
and
と
also
い
it
う
is
も
going to
のを思っ
change your
て、
life
今活動をしています。
from the root. And that's what I
簡単
believe
ですけれ
and
ども、もうご
do
存知の
this
方もいらっしゃ
activity.
ると思いますが、
Now, I
こ
think
のウェルビーイングについ
some of
て
you might
ちょっと
know,
ご説明
but
さ
I
せ
would
ていた
like
だ
to
きます。
explain what
このウェ
well-being
ルビーイン
means.
グ、良好
Now,
な
this
状態、
well-being,
健康
is health. Of course, you have to be physically healthy, and also you have to be psychological happily, and also it has to be happy in the society too. So all of this included is called well-being. Therefore, what we're focusing on is this well-being. Now, when we think about this happiness, well, Japanese, the people who live in Japanese thinks happiness is what is well-being, but that is included. But this happiness is talking about the feelings. Now, this was when I went into the management meeting with my wife. Everyone's saying that I'm doing research on happiness. When I was doing research on happiness, then everyone was saying that, are you doing research on drugs? But what we're focusing on is it's happiness as an emotion, but that is also included, but it's more than a broader, and it's a longer span. We think about it in that scope. Now you've been living for these years, you look back on it, you have a lot of things set in mind, but we want you to reflect it as a happy moment. Now, when we think about what happiness is, happy is similar to health. Now we have preventive health, but I want you to think about a person who's healthy. Now, the person who's healthy knows about health. They look at as the exercising, also diet, and also sleeping. Also, for emotions, you have to, when you're going to become happy, you have to learn about what happiness is. And also, as my husband mentioned before, also in the video, you might have known that you have to have the knowledge about happiness. Also, I want you to have a checkup, like a health checkup, which is a well-being cycle assessment. I want you to go through that and find out what your situation is. Also, I want you to be mindful of happiness. Now, you have to be keen on what's happening. This is going to be very important. Now, when you're going to put this into management, what is well-being management? Now, since last year, I've been thinking about it, and it has been being recognized since last year. Now, this well-being in a company is for the employees. They have to be physically and also mentally and also socially satisfied. That's a situation that has to be in the company, and you have to have that kind of management and environment in the company. Now, the effect of a well-being is improving employees' autonomy and also productivity and the employees' retention rate, and also the newly employment too. Last year, when I when I asked the question of what you're looking forward for when your company, well, they were saying not it was salary. They wanted to have an environment that they could work happily. That was their answer. Now, there's a lot of research done on this. Now, happy employees, the creativity is 3 times more. This is very important. Well, if you have high creativity, then you can have a lot of ideas and you can live better. Well, you can think about the future and it's easy to imagine. Now, 3 times more of creativity. Now, if you think about that, and well, if you look at the Japanese students, there's a lot of more anxiety. But if you ask the same questions to the students in Singapore with the dollar cards, then they was when I said, what's the source of having this happy future? Then they were saying, we don't really know what the future is. It's not anxiety. It's more of we can imagine of what we can do, and we want to think about it positively, and we only have a positive dream. That was the answer from them. So even with this answer, if the people who have a good condition, they can think about a happy future and they're able to aim that. And also the productivity, it increases by 31%. And so also the sales increases by 37%. And so the people who are happy, they also have lower absence rate and also turnover rates too. Now, last month, I did this research. I actually analyzed 1,600 listed companies in the US market, and we found out that the companies with high employees well-being have a higher corporate value, stock market, and performance and profitability. Now, this was done by in an Oxford University for the work in the well-being research center. Now, this also supported my activities, and I was really happy receiving this. And so this company well-being, well, this is something that is the company's aim in the Western countries, and I think the trend is going to be accelerated. So as I mentioned before, the productivity, 30% increase is what I said. Now, if you're happy, then the creativity also becomes third-fold, and that research. Now, if you think about if there's 100 employees with fit mind, then when you think about whether really the productivity increases, of course, there is going to be economic situations, and also there is going to be leadership differences, and therefore this was difficult to research. But this research shows that the happy employees have the high corporate value, also the performance was high, and also the profitability was high. And this report was clearly mentioning it. Therefore, the company well-being is very important. But today, we're going to use the dialogue card, well-being dialogue card, and I want you to experience this.
So there are 4 factors of the well-being. So these are very important factors to become happy. So we conducted research for the 1,500 Japanese people. So we raised questions and we identified these 4 factors in order to be really happy. So learn to know yourself. You have to have your dream. You have to feel your growth, and you need to have your self-worth. If you have it, so you are really happy. The second one is a be thankful factor. Showing appreciation that makes you really happy. And if you are really happy, so you can be altruistic, maybe you can accept different ideas. And also you can have a higher level of the self-efficacy. And the third one, maybe everything will be fine, the factor. Be optimistic and forward-looking. You can be happy. Maybe you have to accept who you are, including something good and something bad. So if you feel that way, so you can have a higher level of the well-being. And finally, fourth point, be true to yourself. Factor, independence, and be who you are. So if you can be who you are, so you don't have to compare yourself with other people. So you understand what kind of the ambitions you have. So if you have it, so you are really happy. So these 4 factors are very important and quite straightforward. So I recommend you to memorize these 4. And in various situations, so in management consulting, so we talked about these 4 factors, whether or not you can implement either one of these 4 factors. So this is quite important in order to make your business better. So we identify these 4 factors to be happy. So if you have these 4 factors, I think that you need to have all these 4 factors to be happy. This is very important. So based upon these 4 factors of the well-being, so I would like you to try to experience well-being dialogue card. So let me explain a little bit about this card. So this was designed to nurture the happy dialogue in an organization. So there are 52 questions pertaining to these 4 factors of the well-being. So it's like just a card. So each suit actually has 13 cards. So 30 times 4, the 52 questions are included. So based upon the topic, you're going to have a discussion with other members. By doing so, you can enhance the motivation and also the trust. So each card has well-being related question to enhance your well-being. So there are 52 cards, and each one has been proved already. So it's quite simple, straightforward, but try to answer these questions so you can enhance the level of the well-being. So if you try to answer these questions with other people in the group, so you can find the intrinsic part of the being well-being. So you can deepen understanding of the who you are, and you can deepen understanding of the who other people are. So I think you learn a lot by playing this card. At the same time, playing with other people so you can have an insight from other people. This is the concept of this card. So ace to the kings. So as number goes up, the question per se is going to be difficult. From 2 to the king. So when the number is going up, so the question is going to become difficult. But anyway, so you draw a card and then you try to answer the question. And finally, one more slide. So expected outcomes. So these have been improved already. So when you play this card and having a dialogue with other people, you can enhance the well-being. So this has been improved as well. And on top of that, the creativity and productivity and also quality of the relationship, these things can be improved. So let's give it a try, give it a go. And finally, when you try to answer these questions, so this is something that's said by the William Isaac. So this is something you need to bear in mind when you play this card. So when you play these dialogue cards, listening and showing the respect and also the suspending. So you have to listen to the other people attentively when you play the cards. And also you need to pay attention to the interest of the other people. So in Japan, so the Japanese character consists of the eyes and also the ears when you try to listen to the other people attentively. So you need to use both ears and eyes. And also you need to show the respect to the other people's opinions and the suspending. So if you're not quite sure, you have to make a pause. If you think, oh, this is a little bit different from my ideas, but you have to listen to the other people's idea before going to the final conclusion. And if you want to say something, so this is not something about evaluation or judgment, just say, I agree with you. I like your idea. So you have to deepen the dialogue by saying these things to other people. Well, so from now on, so by using the dialogue card and drawing the card, and you are given a question and you're going to be divided into the breakout session to deepen the dialogue with members. So I got the 52 cards. Anyone? Can you draw one card? I'm shuffling now. Anyone? Can you draw a card? Susan-san. Can you pick, just one card, maybe from this side, maybe 10th or 7th card from this side? Can you point to one card you want to choose?
The third one.
3枚目ですか。はい、3枚目ですね。
Okay, the third one. 1, 2, 3. Okay, your question. In order to have the trust relationship, so what do you bear in mind all the times? To build the trust with other people. So what do you usually bear in mind? So this is a topic for all of you to have a dialogue. So each group consists of the 4 people, and you're going to be divided into the breakout sessions. Maybe each one of you is given about 2 minutes to say your opinions about this topic. To build trust relationship with other people, what do you usually bear in mind? And also you have to say the reason why this point you focus on. So you have to identify the reason why you focus on this point as well in the dialogue. Now I give you 1 minute to think through the essence of this topic. I give you 1 minute. Just think alone, and then you're going to be divided into the breakout session. I'll give you 1 minute.
人と信じ合える関係を築くために心がけてい
To
ること。
build the trust relationship, what do you usually bear in mind? So you have to have a dialogue with yourself. To build trust relationship with other people, what do you usually bear in mind?
.はい。それでは、皆さん。
Okay, time's up. Now, so let's move on to the breakout session.
何分で今設定していただいてますか？ 15分ですか？
15 minutes, right?
大丈夫ですかね？
Do you have a 15 minutes? Yes, the 15 minutes. So I give you the 15 minutes, 1-5. So please deeply have a discussion with your members. So goodbye. See you later.
はい、いってらっしゃい。
I think we would like to have some discussions about what we think about to build trustful relationship with other people. What do you bear in mind, Maki-san? Well, I think it's difficult when you ask this question. Well, I think what I bear in mind is that I don't give a judgment when you're having discussions, and even if we have some different opinions, I try not to have judgment saying that that's not right.
なるほど。
Okay, I see.
それって何かご経験からそういうふうに思ったっていうことです
Is
か？
that from your experience? Well, this is something that I don't want to be done from others.
なるほど。
Okay, I see.
そうですね。人と信じ合える関係を築くために。
To build trustful relationship with others, not making judgments. Yes, I think you've written it in the slide too. I think it follows that idea.
ね、
It's true.
ね、御社の場合は、
Especially in your
様
company.
々な国籍の方がいらっしゃ
I
って、
think there's a people with different nationalities, and you have
価値観、
multi-value.
考え方やね、
The ways of thinking is also different, and also the lifestyle it must be different too.
お互いを
Well, in
信じ合
that kind
え
of
るような
situation,
関係性を作るって、
when you're going to build up a trustful
ジャッジしないっていう
relationship,
のはすごく大事なこと
not
ですよ
making
ね。
a judgment is very important, I guess. Yes, I think so too.
はい。
There are some help comments from my session.
あ、言っちゃったんですね。はい。
ちょっと待ってくださいね。じゃあ、
Okay, so I
さんとまどかさん喋っててください。
would like to pass it on to Ikuko-san and Madoka-san, because I will go back for the setting. Okay, then what about you, Ikuko-san? To build trustful relationship with other people, what do you bear in mind?
できる限り言葉を選んで
Well,
本心を伝えるという
I try to be honest and try to choose the words that express it.
やはり嘘をついてしまうと
Because if I lie,
と思ってもらえたとしても、やっぱり
even if it
信じて
is
だんだんこう
thinking
会話
about for
がね
others,
大
if
きくな
you
っていってしまうので、
repeat that, then
例えば
everyone would
小さい子供
become
がいるんですけれども、
worried.
子供
And
に
so
対
I
し
have
て
a little
も
child,
まあ
and
嘘
for
をつ
even
かないんだ
for
よ
my
って言
child,
ってるからには私もやっぱ
when
り
I
嘘をついちゃいけないっ
say,
ていうふうに
well, I'm saying
思います
you
し、
shouldn't lie, and therefore I shouldn't be lying either, too.
やっぱり先ほどもマキとお話し
And
したと思うんですけれ
also,
ども、
はい。
as you mentioned, talked with Maki, our company, we have a lot of different backgrounds and among our employees. And in that kind of situation, I try to find the words that really express my honest feelings. Oh, that's a very good idea. Well, you have multi-nationalities, and in order to, well, to make yourself understood, you have to express it verbally, right? Well, if you're in between Japanese, you don't really have to put it into words. You can just kind of sense it. But when I was overseas, I understood that you, you can't really talk with just the same sense. And I faced a situation that I wasn't able to make myself understood. But I had to really verbally say that I'm satisfied. And so I was told that when you're unsatisfied, you have to verbally express that. And in that kind of situation, I had to make myself understood and choose the words that express my heartful feelings. And this is something that I learned overseas. Well, it's kind of a Japanese virtue, but that was not accepted overseas. Well, the culture shock and the shock that I received over when I went overseas was this: you have to verbally express it, otherwise you wouldn't make yourself understood. Just waiting would be nothing. Or, for example, like when you talk about orders, when they say that you're received, then I thought I should be waiting in silence. But the people who came behind and after me, they just commented and said that they went through and jumped over in front of me. And so I was feeling that I was waiting because I was told to do so. But I thought this was confusing. And so I really have to verbally say that I've been waiting for for this long. And also, I have to really follow the way, if it's in the United States, the way in the United States, and I have to express my feelings. And actually, I did have the experience that I was waiting and I was like left over and I felt like crying. But with that experience, I thought I should be verbally expressing my expressions and feelings. Okay, so we don't have any interpretations here, right? And so the Japanese people might understand, but the people who do not understand Japanese might be difficult. I think the people who there's people who have Chinese background. Okay, the interpreter is saying that they're interpreting. Oh, great, thank you. Do we have a little more time? I think we've spent 7 minutes since the breakout room started. Okay, so then when well, they really have to go into depth, otherwise they might be having at a loss of time. So we have to, if there's a facilitator deep diving in what the feeling is, then you're able to go into depth. But sometimes, well, they might come back if they're finished. There are people who have already came back. Okay, welcome back. Okay, so for the next question, I think we might be able to reduce the time. But do we still have more time? Yes.
人と信じ合える関係を築くために
Okay.
心がけていることはって、
And to build trustful relationship with other people, what do you bear in mind is the question. Now, well, I've been asking this question hundreds or thousands of times. Now, this is something that we've developed with my husband for 2 years, and we wanted to find out the questions, and we've actually quoted the questions from well-being researchers so that it would not overlap with the answers. But even if you answer, the answer changes depending on your mental situation. And so it shows you what you feel now or what you pay importance on right now, and it changes And as you answer, you'll find out what your self is. And that's the main aim of this tool. And you find out what you are, and you're able to accept yourself. You're able to also be authentic, and you can be really proud of yourself and go on as you live. And so people from overseas, they have a lot of diversity, and so they can be true to yourselves. But if you ask Japanese people about 1500, then there were people who were not good at being true to yourselves. And so the rate was very low. And so the Japanese people had this mindset of thinking about others, and also they were good at showing thanks. And therefore, I think the answer is also different depending on their nationalities. And also, it changes among the timing too. For example, if I'm asked the question to build trustful relation with other people, what do you bear in mind? Now, then I would answer, I would look at the positive part of the others, trying to find out the good characters of the person and try to find the strength of the person. And then I feel really happy. And then I think we will have good dialogues, and we will be able to engage within that aspect. And with that attitude, the relationship would become better. So to build a trustful relationship with other people, what do I have in mind is when I meet someone for the first time, and when even in the company working with others, I look at the strength of the others and be interested in that. And I start with that and keep that in mind.
I think the time's up, so everyone is coming back to the main session. Well, still some people are engaged in a breakout session. So in this main room, some of you were not able to go to the breakout session. So for the sake of the people, so I asked the question to the Maki-san and also the Ikuko-san, and also I reflected my answer vis-a-vis this question, depending on how I feel today. So I think everyone's back, right? I think it's all right. Yeah, everyone is back. Welcome back. So how was it? And transient part of this question is a quite natural thing. So you can find out, so what things you pay attention to every day. So this kind of the concept or maybe point is related to this question. So one of the 52 questions. So you talked about this question in your group. So can you give me some feedback, some findings, some learning from other people in your group? So what kind of things you learn from other people? Can you share what you discussed in your groups? So you don't have to turn your camera on. Just tell me, so what kind of points you got from other people? Whatever would be fine. Anyone? Mark-san, how about you?
Yes, hello. My name is Mark, and I was in room 10 with Nate, Neo, and Wenli, and we talked about three main things. One was to be authentic and to tell the truth, and that it's hard work to always be honest, but it's even hard work to keep track of your lives. So always be honest and authentic. The second one was to be reliable So deliver on your commitments, set expectations, and making sure that you're adding value to relationships. And then the third one was to learn about each other and being open to other people's experience, as well as be vulnerable and willing to share your own experience. So those are the three things that we talked about.
わあ、素晴らしいですね。ありがとうございます。
Wonderful. Thank you very much for your
い
input.
やー、すごく素敵なシェアでしたね。
That's a very good point you shared. To be authentic, to be true,
ことや信頼性を持って関わる。
and also engage with other people based upon their trust and reliability, and learning each other.
やってみよう因子の中には、
As of, I said the 4 factors. So the growth and also the self-esteem, self-realization. So these things have been proved. So if you feel your growth, you can be happy. This has been researched already. So every single day, so we grow little by little, the brick by brick. So you don't have to pick up something you couldn't achieve. Maybe you should pick up something you achieved. And then you share these things you could do with other people and the colleagues. So appreciating what you have done and what you have achieved. So these things, they should be appreciated and shared by other people and leading to being happy. And this has been proven by the researchers. Thank you very much for your input, Mark-san. Maybe one more person? Can you give me your insight? One more person. Anyone raising? Sorry. So after Mark, maybe Wallace-san. So let's move on to the Wallace, please.
ありがとうございます。手を挙げてくださって。
Thank you very much for raising your hand.
My name is Wallace, and so I think our group also brought up a lot of the same values that Mark has brought up. I think the extra points that we shared in our group was being considerate. So, and when we expanded on that value, it was to be able to listen to other people's perspectives. And the most important thing was to not pass any judgment. So consideration was very important in our discussion. And one extra thing was we talked about patience. So especially we talked about when you're just starting to build a new relationship with someone, to build that trust, patience is very important. So, and I guess that goes hand in hand with being considerate. So to be considerate, you also have to be patient with the other person. So that's what we felt.
Wow. ありがとうございます。
Well, thank you once again for your input, and which is great. I think this is an indication that every one of you working at the plant is really happy. After hearing the answers from the Wallace and the Mark, be considerate and be kind. So this is something that's said by your CEO, Anatole-san. Being considerate and listening to the other people's opinions. So it's super important. So you have a diverse backgrounds and your value is a little bit different. So in your workplace, so I think you're used to the dealing with the difference or diversity, but still you mentioned that the importance of the patience. Because the Japan consists of the mono and ethnic group. So we don't have to say something verbally that other people surrounding you can sense what you are thinking of. Having said that, so accepting the other ideas or other values is something quite difficult for the Japanese people, but you are not Japanese. Maybe with compared to the Japanese people, you are used to these things. And also to be patient and hand in hand and going forward. So this is also something very important. Once again, thank you very much for your input. Okay, so let's move on to next question. One more breakout session. So we are running out of time. Is it okay not going to the second question? And is it okay for us to move on to the panel discussion because of the time constraints today? Okay, I understand. So let me share the screen, my screen. Now, together with Maeno-san, so we'd like to move on to the panel discussion with our employees from Tokyo office. We have a Wallace-san, data analyst from China office. So Susan, the QA, and also the Eric, the back-end engineer. So these are the panelists. So we are going to have a Q&A session. So if you have any question, so please do not hesitate to put your question by using the chat function of the Zoom. Once again, so briefly explain the function of the chat. So in the middle at the bottom, so there is a chat function. So when you click on it, so you can see the pop-up and you can put your questions on a chat. And the moderator is going to read loud your question later on. Now I'd like to turn over to the Maki-san.
Ikko-san, thank you very much. Then I would like you to spotlight the panel. So while you're doing that, Wallace and Susan and Eric, I think it's your first time to meet each other. Now, I would like you to give your simple self-introduction just for 1 minute.
Maybe I'll go first. So my name is Wallace. I'm based out of Tokyo, Japan, and I'm a data analyst here at the plant. And I've been with the company for about 2.5 years. My background, so my parents came from China, from Hong Kong, but I was raised in Canada in Vancouver. So I've been in Japan for about 4 years now, living and working here in Tokyo. Thanks.
はい、ありがとうございます。じゃあ、スーザン次行きましょうか。
Susan, please.
Hi, nice to meet you. It's Susan from the plant Hangzhou office in China, and I'm the QA team manager, and I've been working in the plant for 8 years. Yeah.
はい、ありがとうございます。じゃあ、エリック
Thank
最
you
後。
very much, Eric. You're the last one. Please go ahead.
Hi, Madoka-san. This is Eric, and also located in China. I'm the backend team manager in the plant, and yeah, very happy to be in this panel discussion.
はい、じゃあ今日はお願いします。皆
Thank
さ
you
ん
very
よ。
much for joining
はい
today,
今日
everyone.
今回まどかさんに
Now,
ウェビナーをお願いするときにですね。
when we asked Madoka-san to join us, well, when we had the discussion together, well, Madoka-san, it's the first time for Madoka-san to have this discussion with an international team. And so, Madoka-san, is there anything that you are interested in? I think you can start with the question to the team. Well, there's people with different backgrounds, worldwide backgrounds within this kind of situation. And you're working online, and I think you're working on and having meetings online too. Now, what are you taking care of? What are you, when you want to work happy and when you want to have to contribute to the society and be rewarded, then in that kind of situation, well, how on what kind of things do you think of or care of when you're trying to create that kind of situation within your work environment? So what do you care about when you want to work happy? I want to know about that too. Okay, so let's start with Susan. What's your answer?
Firstly, I think the company here's employees. Like the plant, we not only just give employees paid time off, we are encouraged to use it for no reason. And we even had vacation leave as an OKR to review different teams' PTO used percentages. So our company is always looking for ways to improve employee satisfaction and open listening. And this is what I care when I looking for the company to makes me work more happier. And also our company is doing really well in transparency. We have one-on-ones to hear employees' needs and get company or team news for first and back. And also we have town hall meeting. We know how the company is going well, and the company knows the employees' needs. And as you can see, we have flexible working, and we can work remotely from home. So it gives us the freedom to organize our working schedule and working remotely and non-fixed start and finish times. So I can start late and I will finish late. Yeah, that's three items I would really care. Yeah.
はい、ありがとうございます。どうですか、まどかさん。
Thank
こん
you
な感じ。
very much. Madoka-san, what do you feel about this? So it was really good that Susan gave us smoothly these 3 points. It was wonderful. Thank you very much for your answer. Well, so you talked about how to make yourself happy, and also I thought you're having this one-on-one meeting, and also you have this all-hands meeting too, and it's really good steps, and also managing your schedule on your own. This is really attractive too. Thank you very much. Thank you. Well, in some sense, well, Eric, you have to face the clients. And so when you're going to adjust your schedule, I think it must be a lot of work to do that. Now, well, if you want to take a leave, or how do you manage your schedule? What do you care about when you're going in that kind of situation?
So the company allows us to work from home, so I can just save my a lot of time on commute, like 2 hours per day if I compare to before. So actually, and I can easily have a lot of meetings, like 5-6 meetings per day. So I can handle a lot of stuff. And also have a chance to talk with Anatole and the rest of the management team to ask for advice and suggest, because we in the company we see a lot of issues every day, but if I want to solve that, so I can talk to the management team and ask for advices, and also the support if I want to propose something to fix the problems in the company. And the last one, I think the patience that the company and the management team gave me is it actually takes a lot of time, like years, for a junior person to grow to be a senior or to be a specialist. So I'm happy that that the company allows me to take time to grow. And that's all. Yeah.
ありがとうございます。
Thank you very much for your comments. Thank you very much. Well, all the answers is really attractive. Patience, and they wait for you until you become professional. And in order to do so, you have to have patience to ask them to grow. So I think they believe in people and until they grow. And so you're able to consult with the management, and also you can give proposals, you can also ask for advice. That kind of environment, it's really transparent, and I think it's really attractive. Thank you. Well, consulting and also proposal. Now, I want to ask you, Wallace. Well, Wallace, you have a background of working in different companies too, and I don't want you to criticize the former company, but when you think about proposal or asking for advice, now, did you have some kind of experience when you were working in that kind of situation? What is unique to this?
Yeah, thank you, Maki-san. So in some of my previous experiences, especially getting advice or support from team leads or superiors, there's usually a very structured hierarchy. So I would have to talk to my supervisor, then my supervisor's boss, then their boss, and so on and so forth. So, and as it goes higher up, it becomes less transparent. So then the communication becomes kind of one way. And so I've had a few experiences that are like that. So it felt kind of common. When I did join the plant, however, I very quickly realized, as I think Eric said, all very flat. So even team lead supervisors, to senior management, or CEO, CTO, director level people, we're completely accessible to them. So when when I have questions or when I have a concern that I want to raise, I can very easily reach out to those people directly using our internal communication tool. And I'm also able to get responses back really quickly as well. And it works more in a collaborative setting. So there's no, oh, according to them, they said this, and according to them, they said this. It's just a very open and honest discussion and collaboration. And that's what I find, I think, the most unique about the plant compared to my other experiences in other companies.
ありがとうございます。よかったです。まどかさん、どうですか?
Well, thank you for your comment. Madoka-san, what is your thought on this? So the flat environment, so you can talk freely to the top management, and they listen to your ideas very attentively, so which is a wonderful and splendid. Thank you once again for your insights and for your inputs. So one more point. So when you applied for this webinar, so we collected some questions from the participants. So now I'd like to take some time to share some questions we have already collected from participants. So well-being in the workplace. I'm very interested in this point. So in the medical field, including nursing, the field, I think that well-being should be the highest, but actually what we have been observing is the opposite situation. I'm not working as a management level, but well-being, is it possible to spread well-being from the staff level? So maybe I'd like to ask your comment from Madoka-san. So is it possible to split this idea from staff members, not from the top management? First of all, Eric-san, so can I share with you your idea on this front, please?
Maki, can you repeat the question with English?
So the person is asking, so she's not a manager, but she's asking if it is possible to encourage the well-being culture from the staff perspective, even though she, not just from the manager side. So I'm just
not
curious.
from manager. Yeah, I think everyone needs to have that well-being to be in that situation, and it's not just for a particular group of people, and we can have different approaches to achieve that goal if that's what you want to achieve in your life.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So yeah, I have no question about that.
Okay. Susan はどう思いますか?
What about Susan? Your idea, please.
I think well-being is in the company, not only in management level, also for individual employees levels. When people maintain a positive attitude in their daily work, they have some achievements from the results they have, like our QA team, when they have reported some critical bugs and it helps to block the release for that feature, then we will have some sense of achievement that we help the project itself, and we save the money for the clients. So in that case, it's also a kind of well-being for the employees to have. Yeah, that's my opinion.
はい、ありがとうございます。ウォリスはどう思いますか?
Thank you. What about Wallace?
I think it's very important, I think especially for staff members to focus on well-being, because I think if we're healthy, if we're happy, I think that reflects on the work that we do and the quality of the work that we bring to the company. So I think it's very important as to, whether staff can direct that, that initiative. I think and I think my fellow team members are very lucky and privileged to be in a company where upper management values our opinions. So when we do feel burnt out, or if we feel exhausted from certain projects, we're able to openly tell our team leads that, oh, I feel exhausted, I feel really burnt out, and we have the freedom to take our holiday and to rest and to really recharge ourselves. So I think it's a difficult question. Of course, I think us as employees, I think it's important to recognize that if we are feeling burnt out and if we're not feeling well, that we have the freedom and we have the courage to voice that, because self-care is important. But I think it's also, it also depends on whether or not, the company is responsive or, allows for that to happen. So it's a complicated question, I think.
そうね、レスポンシブネスは大事かもしれないですね。
Well, the responsiveness is very important. And I'd like to ask your idea, Madoka-san, on that regard. So if we work in a very big company, well, bottom up is something difficult to spread well-being in the company, which is very big. So do you have any advice for the penetration of well-being concept in a big company? I think there are two things, broadly speaking. So first of all, as Wallace-san mentioned earlier, first of all, you have to carefully observe your situation in the medical field. So you have to take care of the sick people, the patients. So vulnerable people, you have to take care of them. So you don't see carefully your situation. Rather, you pay more attention to the sick people, the patients, and you are more likely to burn out. And in not sustainable way, you can work continuously. So what is important is that first of all, make an adjustment of your conditions so that you can exert your abilities to handle the situation. So first of all, you have to pay attention to the well-being of yourself. And this is very important, and this is not selfish. So you have many, many different people in a company. So first of all, you have to pay attention to your own well-being rather than well-being of the other people. That is the first point. And the second point, so I often hear this question. So for the penetration of the well-being in your company, so maybe some staff member work very hard, but the top management people doesn't care about it. So they only focusing on the performance and profits and so forth. So they don't care about your opinions. So whatever they say, whatever you do, the top management people don't care about your opinions and what should be done. We can't replace the top management. So what I say to these people, of course, you can replace top management people. So you have to change yourself rather than you can bring about the change in your organization. You have to change your way of the thinking. So that is leading to make the relationship with the person better. So on a daily basis, many tiny things, you need to continuously communicate. Maybe you talk about the hobbies and family members, whatever the topic would be. So if they look fine, so you look fine, you look well. So tiny conversation, but if you keep doing this, so if you want that person to listen to your opinions, based upon very amicable relationship, so they can listen to you attentively. But if you don't communicate with other people often, a lot on daily basis, but if you want that person to listen to you attentively, if you need that person to listen to you attentively, maybe that person wouldn't listen to you attentively. So on daily basis, so you have to put emphasis on the very good communication to make your relationship better and also to making adjustment of your conditions. These two things are very important. So if you're happy, your happiness can be transferred to the other people, including your family members and your colleagues and your teammates. So that being happy can be transferred, can be infected with other people. These are two things I'd like to share with you. Your human relationship is something we can see in the mirror. So if we have an energy and if we exert energy to the other people, maybe you can receive the energy from other people as well. And this has been actually proven as well in the research. Thank you very much.
質問をチャットでいただきました。なんかこれ
I
す
have
ごい。
received a question, and it is an interesting question on the chat. Now it's in English, so I would like to read it in English first.
Prolonged happiness, it may lead to complacency and hinder the personal growth. To improve myself, stepping out of my comfort zone is necessary. How can I balance contentment with the drive to strive for more? This is a really good question. 日本語にすると、長く幸福感が続きすぎる
So
と、
if I explain this in Japanese, then when you live in a happiness situation, it would hinder the growth. Isn't there a possibility of that? So if you're going to improve and if you want to grow, then you have to really get out of the comfort zone. Now, how can we balance that? How can we have the plants, see, and also the growth? Now, how can we balance that? Now, that's the question. What's your opinion? Susan, do you have any comments on this question?
To balance content with drive to I think we should have a proper mindset, and it's the first important thing. And when you ask the question that you are remaining a state of prolonged happiness, and it may lead to that complexity and higher personal growth. And so the attitude and mindset is important in yourself. You need to be aware of what I have, and I'm satisfied with the current status, but I also need to look into how to improve myself to further innovation and improvements to achieve a happiness life goal. Yeah, that's my opinion.
Oh, すごい。
Great answer. Well, I might be similar to Madoka-san's answer. Well, you have to think about your state, what kind of state, emotional state you are in. And I think that's what is important. I think that's what Susan was saying. What do you think, Madoka-san? Yes, I think it's a really good comment. This balancing is very important. Now, when we try to balance it, then we have to think about the 4 factors. Learn to know yourself, be thankful, everything will be fine, be true to yourself. Now, it also has, when you think about the situation in the brain, learn to know yourself. You're really you're excited, so you have this dopamine that comes out, and this comes out because you want to do it. But if it's that old, then you would have a lot of things, and you'll be kind of in the flow, and you have a lot of too much dopamine, and you would become burned out. So then you have to think about the serotonin with a be thankful hormone. And so that is going to be relaxing, also eating sweets, listening to music. And it's more of releasing yourself and relaxing yourself. And that is coming out and, well, enjoying a cute child. That would be also a situation too. Now, this balance is very important too. It is the same factor of well-being. We have dopamine, oxytocin, and oxytocin, but if you feel that you are too happy and you're too satisfied, and if you feel you're too relaxed and you really have this happy hormone and you feel that you're too satisfied, then you have to have the mindset of you have to have the dopamine. You have to have this, there's different factors. There's like in this well-being. So you have to balance those two. If you balance, there's 4 factors, but these 2 factors are something that you would be successful. So I would like you to try to balance these 2 factors. Now, when we did a research to the Japanese people, we found out this. Now, when we looked at the people from overseas, well, my husband did the same research for Asian people. And he did workshops and also researches in the Asian people, and the result was the same. And so I think this is, we came up with a solution that this is important worldwide. Well, that's interesting. Yes, it was interesting. Thank you very much. Now we're running out of time, so I would like to go into the last question. I have a question to Maeno-san, when you feel something, you don't have a good relationship with the person, you don't like him or that person, then I think it's very important for you to find the positive part or the good part of that person you dislike. Now, if you have some tips, please let us know from the concept of well-being, is the question. Okay, let me answer. Well, we talked about what you have to have in mind to build trustful relationship. Now, I was actually saying that you have to look at the positive and good points of the person. But if you feel that you're not matching this person, then your situation is that you are not listening to that person. Well, the people have this attitude of you just pick up the things that you want to listen to. And so if you dislike that person, you wouldn't see the person, you wouldn't listen to the person. If you don't have a good impression, that's the situation. Well, when a person has this pre-information saying that that person is really difficult to handle, then even if you don't know that person, when the friend says that he's a difficult person, then you have this mindset of, oh, and a filter that this person is difficult, and you kind of pick up what the difficulty is. That's the attitude of the mindset when you have this kind of pre-information. So therefore, if you have an employee who you cannot go along well, but if you want to have a good relationship with that person, then I think you have to think that this person is a really nice person. You have to suppose that some person is saying that this person is a nice person. And if you have this kind of comments, then you would have this mindset. Every person has a positive and good points, and so you have to look at that point, and also you have to be tolerant. And people, they are different. They have their own truth. If you look at this box, this is a rectangle, this is a different shape but looking from a different direction shows a different shape. So for this person, it might be justice, and they might be insisting that in that kind of situation, you have to think that you might be only looking it from a certain aspect, and you have to think about looking at from the different directions and try to accept that from different angles and try to find out what that person is. And I think that's how you have to think. The way you have to change the relationship with the person. Otherwise, you wouldn't have any other methods. Otherwise, you'll have to change your job or you have to change your mind. People have their own emotions. If you have this tolerant and kind relationship, and if you find the positive part of the person, recognize that person, and also accept that good points, then that feeling would be transferred to that person too. And that person would react kindly to you if you have that kind of mindset. And that is how you would change your relationship in a good way. And I hope you would like to implement that into the work and workplace. It was a very good, very informative comment. So the basic is you have to think about what kind of mindset you have to have. And if you have that attitude, that would impact the others. That's what you're saying, right? Yes. Thank you very much. Okay, so we're running out of time, and I would like to stop here, although we do have a lot of questions, but we would like to stop the panel session here. Wallace, Susan, Eric, thank you very much for joining today as a panelist. Madoka-san, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Well, thank you very much for your participation for the panelists. So I hope you enjoyed the panel discussion. So the plan with the high level of the well-being. So this is something we talked about. So I hope you find some clue to improve the well-being level in the workplace. So personally, so as the Madoka-san mentioned that being happy can be transferred to the other people. So of course, something, up and down in our lifetime. So if you feel unwell, but I'd like to have intention to transfer my happy feelings from myself to the other people. So now I have this kind of the mindset. So before concluding session, so we have the information of the hiring and also the other information. So you can have a look at the Facebook regarding our information. So if you read the QR code, maybe you can get access to the information pertaining to the plant. So we'd like to send a URL through the chat function. So if you're interested, you can get access to the information pertaining to the plant. And also we'd like to conduct a questionnaire about this webinar. And based upon your assessment, we'd like to make an improvement for the session going forward. So if you have some specific topic you are interested in, which should be covered in a webinar, I'd like to reflect your ideas in the future webinar. Once again, thank you very much for your time to participate in this session. Once again, our global team is going to work very hard to improve the well-being of the employees. So I hope you find the well-being through this seminar something very close to you in your workplace. So we'd like to talk more, but because of the time constraints, we'd like to conclude this webinar. Once again, so please give hand to the today's guest speaker, Ms. Maeno Madoka. Thank you very much for the very interesting presentation. Once again, thank you very much for sparing time to participating in this webinar. That concludes the session.